Good morning, guys. Good evening. This was a bit of a trickier day today. There was still some good setups, but we'll talk through it in a second. So obviously this is the NASDAQ. I'm going to first show you a little something on how to avoid certain areas in the profile, especially when the VWAP not only gives you confluences, but gives you an anti-confluence, if you will, to help avoid sort of more choppy areas. So the actual trade setup we're going to look at today, it was the trade setup of the day, was right here, okay? But first of all, before we do that, I noticed that some people got a little bit chopped up on the overnight point of control. We're trying to trade this right off the open, which is totally fair, right? Overnight point of control, it's an overnight level, normally pretty clean. You can trade those quite easily most of the time off the New York Open. But I'll show you a little trick here that can help you to filter out when should you trade it versus not trade it. So at the start of the New York session, right, you're going right into a new session. We've just closed off that overnight profile. Okay, now look at the overnight profile, right? That's the point of control right there, right across there, kind of that big kind of fat node across there is the point of control node. All right, so it's right across there. We've just closed off that volume profile, so it's very, very recent, right? So that's the clue number one, is trading around a massive point of control like that, you're more likely to get chopped up versus if price is already away and it's pulling back to retest a point of control. But the actual clue here is if you place that VWAP on the chart, boom, VWAP. Okay, the VWAP is right across that point of control at the same time. Now you can think of the VWAP, the actual VWAP band, the main VWAP band, the blue one in the middle, right? Not the standard deviations, but the VWAP band. It's volume weighted average price. It's like a dynamic point of control, a dynamic fair value price point. Okay, volume weighted average price. It's going to change as the volume sort of trades throughout the day. And that is what I like to refer to as dynamic fair value. And what happens when the market is overlapping a VWAP plus a point of control, you start to get more of that choppy action because as the market is trading around fair value, buyers and sellers are fighting over that price point. Buyers want to buy it, sellers want to sell it. It's fair value, right? It has equal or great interest from both sides of the market. So when you have the VWAP, aka dynamic fair value, lined up with the most recent right there overnight point of control just closed, big fair value node, right, you're going to get this sort of action back and forth. So there is an approach to trading point of controls like this, which I talk about inside the community, but we'll talk about today just how to avoid getting chopped up. All right, and that's how you do it, is if you've got VWAP right over a point of control, be wary, okay? So that can help you kind of avoid getting chopped up in here, okay? So the market extended up a little bit, tested into the upper previous day point of control and the upper VWAP band, melted down, all right? Came down to this area here, broke through the value lows, overnight value low and previous day value low. So that, and this is what I mean by today, was definitely a bit trickier because this here, all else made equal, coming back here, if you're just looking at price pulling down to this price point on the market, all right, you're coming into a new session. That is actually a pretty good long setup. You got two value area lows stacked together, two discount levels stacked together, plus lower VWAP band. So actually, I'm sure a lot of you guys might have actually taken this setup for a long. That's a very, very good long setup. Okay, you've got 1, 2, 3 confluences stacked for a long there. Okay, and of course, as you know, if you took that trade setup, you would have been stopped out. Now, there was a good example of this inside the live session inside school yesterday as well, where during the Asia session, we had something similar, a really good stacked A-rank setup, price coming down. It looked like a really good long area, stacked confluences together. However, it ended up just breaking through. But what I'm going to highlight here is that that's not the end of the world, right? When you get a stacked level that breaks through to the downside, you know, sellers are in control now. They've broken through the support, broken through those volume areas, those discount areas. That now becomes the perfect spot to look for a short on the other side, okay? That's when we can say, okay, cool. Those areas are still important areas in the profile, in the market, so we can still use them. But instead of going long now, because we've been stopped out and it's truthfully, you know, broken down away from those levels, we can now use that as a short confluence, triple stack short confluence, okay? So watch when the market pulls up and retests on the underside. Boom, okay, you'd get triggered in there. With the type of range it's been trading today, you'd want at least a 200 tick stop loss, in my opinion. It's quite a wide range right off the bat. If you just measure the highs to lows, very, very high swings, right? Even this smaller swing was 340 ticks. So you're going to want to have, you know, get pretty close to that and either targeting a 1-to-1 or down to the swing low. Okay, most of the time I'm just going 1-to-1. So there you get your quick reaction from that stacked level on the underside. So whenever you do get stacked levels here that get broken, don't immediately throw in the towel. Immediately come back and think, oh, okay, better be ready for the retest on the other side. Because when these levels get broken, it's still a very important area in price. Okay, we have retest of the VWAP band, lower VWAP band after breaking away, plus overnight value low, plus previous day value low, plus this one actually, because it had already been more than half an hour now by this point, you can use the developing profile as extra confluence and see that it was also retesting the developing value low of the developing profile. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4 confluences on that short. And of course, that ended up going down a lot further than the 1-to-1. It swept out those lows and dropped a lot more as well. So it was definitely a trickier day today, but this is me highlighting to you, never go in with a trade with your whole clip, okay, and make it to the point where if you take a first loss, that you can't jump in and take a second trade, because if you did get stopped out on that first trade, going long from the A rank area, which was a very, very valid and very good trade setup still, you were still able to take advantage of that same triple, quadruple stack confluence area and go short on the retest on the underside. And of course, hope you found that VWAP tip helpful too for avoiding getting chopped up in the middle around point of control. I have just added as well, for those of you guys in the school community, I have just added to the main program now as well. The main program's under here, core content, but I've also just added a VWAP module to the core program, all right? Introduction to why VWAP works well with volume profile, what it is, how to set it up in TradingView, and some examples. I'm going to be adding some more live examples during the week, but that is available to anyone inside the school. All right, so please make use of that. I will see you either in the live London session tonight inside school, or I will see you tomorrow on the daily updates channel. Hope you found that helpful. I'll pin the link to school in the comments below as always, and I will see you again tomorrow, boys and girls. Goodbye.